Could I just get something clear in my mind? There's a joint council, Stratford District Council and Warwickshire County Council.
Warwick District Council.
District Council, sorry.
Yep.
And they together will decide whether this goes through or not.
Okay, they are a precursor. They will make a recommendation to the full councils at Stratford and Warwick, who will meet the following day. So on Tuesday, it's a go no go on whether this should go out. The final no go will, for all members, is on Wednesday. Stratford District Council meet Wednesday afternoon. Warwick District Council meet Wednesday evening.
But if they turn it down, both of those turn it down, this won't happen.
If it doesn't get recommended by the joint committee on the Tuesday, it's dead in the water. If either authority on Wednesday choose not to push it to go out to Regulation 19 consultation, it's dead in the water.
Thank you.
Oh, good evening. 50 years ago, I sat in a similar meeting to this, whereby a developer wanted to build 600 houses on Greenbelt. We fought 3 public inquiries and won the lot. The message I want to get over is people think at this time it's all a waste of time. It's not. You can be more professional than they are. In planning terms, there's loads of things you can challenge this on. And in actual, as I understand it from Bill, there was a plan approved which people were fairly happy about, and it all got dumped. So I think a lot of questions to be asked there.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely 100% right there. Bidford has fought off the closure of the fire station. We fought off the digging up half the village as a quarry. So I think as long as we all pull together in the same way, we're going to beat this as well. So get the QR code done, link up with Jill, and I don't think anybody can stop this village.
There's enough people here now.
Enough people here?
Yeah.
Hi guys, just want to confirm that obviously we're talking about this particular proposal, but I think we're all aware there are also other proposals and ideas about building houses in Bidford. Where do they sit with this, and do they impact the numbers, hence why you've got 2,100 to 3,200?
Okay. While the plan's being developed, you're absolutely right, developers still bring forward parcels of land. I said earlier that we have a challenge as a council because we can't demonstrate what's called a 5-year housing land supply. And in those circumstances, the balance in any planning application tilts in favour of the developer. So if you want your politicians to be absolutely honest with you, Bill and I, we're going to be absolutely honest with you. There are some developments that are on the stocks already where the most likely outcome is that because we don't have a 5-year land supply at the moment, and we need to get one, and that's another question, that they will be approved. They would be in addition to what's proposed as far as the local plan is concerned, but they in the overall numbers they get taken into account. But I go back to it's 2,200 is a minimum. So whilst you can count them, actually the reality would be those, and you're talking I think something like 300 or so at the moment. In terms of planning applications that have currently been made, it's about 300. You can basically add those to the 2.2 if the local plan goes ahead. If the local plan fails, it doesn't completely get us out of the woods. But we're not out of the woods anyway, even with this. Even if this local plan goes to the inspector, you've still got developers can bring sites forward because of the land supply issue, because we've still got to tackle that. And that is a piece of work that is being done. So, yeah, you end up with those plus. So we need to try and control.
But isn't the message still, though, that wherever they build them, proposed in Bidford or on the outskirts of Salford or the outskirts of Broome, the infrastructure and all the arguments that you clearly put forward still exist?
They do. I mean, we still need infrastructure. Yeah, we still need infrastructure. Sorry.
Well, that comes down to the planning applications they put in, and whether we accept them or we don't, and say there's enough infrastructure for those houses. So that's a planning issue down to the
Yeah.
And that's where our NDP comes in. That is our armour, so to speak, because it's you guys tell us what, as a village, we want in terms of planning, what we want the houses to look like, where we want them. The whole kit and caboodle, if you look at the old one, it tells you absolutely everything about the village as was on the 2017. So now we have to do it again to say what we want to see in 2028, 2029. And so it's everybody to put in and say, this is what we want, infrastructure. You know, yes, you can build 100 houses here, but first you've got to give us a brand new road, you've got to give us uprated sewage works, you've got to give us good water supply, you've got to give us good internet.
Extra classrooms.
There is still the 106 money coming from those developers that we need to allocate for things that we need in the village, which would be part of the NDP.
Can I just say something?
Bill.
I sit on the planning committee at Stratford every fortnight, and I listen to planning applications come in from all over this sort of district. And they ask two questions. One, local housing needs survey. We're fortunate we did one in 2024. And when they ask the question is, what about your NDP? If any village or town says that their NDP is more than 4 years old, they say 5, but if it's into the 5th year, disregard it. So you have to have an up-to-date. And that's why these guys have really got to need the help to get this thing done. Because in real terms, we need infrastructure for what we've got already. Never mind all the stuff that's coming. There's a lot of things that we need done now. So this NDP is absolutely crucial.
Cool, moving on.
Thank you. I don't normally say thank you to councillors, generally speaking.
Nobody ever does.
But I think it is a very helpful scenario that you've created this evening, because you've actually been, in very simple terms, gone through what is a complicated document, and if you actually go online, it isn't easy to follow.
Nope.
And the recent changes clearly have made an awful lot of difference. The one thing that I think is absolutely critical is, and I understand the idea of a crib sheet and so on, but that's so easily seen through. The one crucial thing that the parish council, and maybe with other parish councils, is instruct professionals to object to this, the proposals that are currently there, for planning and professional and reasons that we as a general group wouldn't fully understand. That has to be done, and then that is created into the planning and representations that we can all put forward to the district council. Now, secondly, I'd say 50k, I don't really care what it costs, to be honest with you. Yeah, we've got a parish precept that we pay each year. The parish council has reserves sufficient to cover whatever this will cost. This is something that ourselves and our children and our children's children will thank us for in objecting to what's going forward. And it's critical that we do it sooner rather than later. It's no point waiting a week, a fortnight. And what I would also say is Regulation 19 is not a consultation process.
Correct, it's not.
It is a representation process. Correct. And the report that's going to your committee on the 14th of July makes that very clear. What's also made very clear is that officers, obviously, and whichever is the party in control, doesn't want it to be stopped because of the cost and the time that's been put into it. The cost is one thing, but the work that's been put into it can be used in due course as part of the new process, because whilst you haven't said it, the members of the public won't necessarily be aware that if it doesn't go on the 31st, then yes, it falls. But then there is a new process that requires a local plan to be put together in 30 months rather than 5 or 7 years. And so that's the crucial thing. So I support everything that you're saying, but please do appoint planning consultants immediately, and those locally in Birmingham who have the appropriate expertise. It's okay going to a KC, but a KC needs the support of a planning consultant in order to put forward the appropriate representation.
I'll just reply to that. I'll reply to that. Two things. Yes, we're getting a KC, and yes, we already have one of the largest law firms in the country on our side, being engaged by us, hence the 50,000. That is our chip into the pot. That is not the full pot. So that is what we're putting in. and other councils are going to be dipping in as well. And the NDP and the letters that Jill will organise, plus what we're doing, it's not an either or, it's both. So we'll be challenging the basis, and also we'll need you guys to write in. So it is both. It's not just one or the other.
And the crib sheets are to guide people that maybe want to write something in but don't know
the full details.
The full details, and want to, and you can't just object by saying I don't like it.
Yeah.
And I don't like, you've got to come up with some substance. So the crib sheet is only there for people that want to engage a little bit more and put a reasonable response in.
I think it's really important. It's not an either or, and it's part of the strategy. So part of the strategy is about engaging. It's one of the largest law firms on the planet, and getting a KC and getting the legal arguments and getting planning experts. But also the whole point of having a large number of representations that they have to go through that are based on soundness is about trying to see if we can get the thing derailed because they don't have enough time to respond to all the representations to enable them to get over the 31st of December deadline. So it's about having a number of different strategies to get to the answer and the outcome you want to achieve. So absolutely, KC, experts, etc., but don't at all think that you guys don't have a huge role to play, particularly at this point, because it's an opportunity to derail the thing. And the gentleman's absolutely right. Then we have to have a new go at it. But that new go at it, all the evidence we've gathered, we can roll over and we can get better outcomes. We want great places for our kids to live, okay? We want great places for people to work. This isn't that kind of outcome for Bidford, for Hatton, for Henley, for any number of places. And actually, you want your councillors to deliver something that's good, and this ain't it. So you guys play a huge role in that part of the strategy.
The other thing as well is, this is a fast-moving thing. Every time something new comes along, Darren and myself will pick up on it, and we'll either do one of our sort of Tom and Jerry videos, or we'll get that message back out to you so you can find it one way or another.
So this gentleman has got control of the mic, sir.
Yeah, I'll just apologise. It's
Okay. Perhaps you just want to, if the mic's causing you problems, just project.
Well, can you hear me?
Project, dear boy.
I'll use this, don't worry.
I used to do some accent, so you probably are project my voice so you can kind of clear. The gentleman that I didn't see him, but he was quite right. He said it is worth fighting.
Yep.
Darren, you probably don't recognise me, but if I said me on Vale Woods, you probably would know. And it is worth fighting for. And we really made ourselves a pain in the arse.
And you got a great outcome.
And but anyway, I want to say as well, forgive me, Bidfordians, but I used to work in the development industry. I used to, for the big developers. I'm better now, though. I feel better.
Cured.
Somebody's standing by the door to say that.
Everyone needs a second chance.
Yes, but please give me a second chance to work with you guys. And obviously, my wife will tell me if I'm overstretching myself. But I'm semi-retired now. Got a part-time job, but I need something else to just keep.
Well, I think you're not leaving the building till we've got your email address, etc. You know what they say about never volunteer for everything.
Jill, can you just?
So I'm going to walk over to Jill. She's very shy, but I'm going to walk over here. On this table here, we have got the Bidford Residents Action Group. So please cast your eyes over, get to know them. Great people, and you might be one of them too.
Good evening. I'm an interloper, so I'm not from Bidford. I'm actually from Clifford Chambers, so I've got a slightly different perspective. Jill was an interloper at our meeting on Wednesday. We had a completely different experience where we didn't have a parish council that wanted to engage at all. In the Regulation 18 stage, as you know, there was an opportunity for councils and for people to respond. 70 councils responded. One missed that deadline, and that was Clifford Chambers. So if you go, there is actually a shame page that the district council have, which is late responses to Regulation 18, and there's only one parish council there, and unfortunately it's Clifford Chambers. So bad has our council been that on Wednesday, the meeting that Jill came to, we had a vote of no confidence. That is very rare. When you think there's 1,000 or so parish councils that have been operating for hundreds of years, you'd think there would be a lot of case law. There isn't. It is very rare. There were 67 people who supported the motion of no confidence in the parish council. 3 people abstained. Nobody voted against it. Whether they will resign, I don't know. But we've had to set up a residents' association to try and do some of the work. And I want to compliment Darren. I've heard you speak once before at the joint cabinet meeting, and it was very clear to me that the Lib Dems do close ranks. And Stuart Keithley, who is our representative, ward representative, is worse than useless, because he actually posts things in favour of detrimental impacts. He is going to be resigning, but unfortunately not soon enough. So I would like to echo the sentiments from the gentleman behind. It definitely is worth objecting. And if you want to see how well objections can work, look at Bearley and Wilmcote. They had a parish council that was fractured, because when the first plan came out for 6,700 houses between Wilmcote and Bearley, 2 of the prime beneficiaries were on the parish council. There was a third, but her holding is much smaller. That incensed the people, and the parish chairman, Janine Lee, she then called a parish meeting immediately. You have to give 7 days notice. So I think this came out in January 25, February 25. She was straight on it, and then they launched the most vociferous campaign you can imagine. They raised a lot of money. They put a lot of pressure across politicians, including our MP Manuela. And what do you know? When they published this thing, as we said earlier, their reduction was from 6,700 to 0. And why would you even consider building there? Well, they've got schools. Bearley has got a railway line. Wilmcote has got a railway line. 6,700 would have been ludicrously big, but they went and dropped it completely. They won't acknowledge why that has happened, but you can rest assured they knew there was a big pressure point. Contrast that when I met Manuela to discuss the impact on Clifford Chambers. She said to me, she thought that the people in around Clifford Chambers, Long Marston, weren't against the idea of 10,000 homes being built at Long Marston. And she said the only person she'd had an objection from was someone at Meon Vale. And I said to her, why do you think that's the case? And she said, well, presumably people aren't too worried about it. And I said, no, it's because they didn't know. We've been blindsided. There was a plan a year and a half ago, and these disreputable politicians from the Lib Dems have got together and hatched together a plan that hardly impacts them, but impacts us massively.
I think I'm not going to make an overtly political point other than to say that at about 12:30 last night, Janine Lee was elected as the Conservative District Councillor for the Kinnerton Ward and Bearley and Wilmcote. And she is an effective communicator and campaigner, and she highlighted that Bearley Wilmcote wasn't the right location for development. And development should be in the right place at the right time with the right infrastructure. And Beerlywham could ain't it, and Bidford on Avon ain't it either. I think we've got some other questions. Yes, madam.
Yeah, hi there. I just wanted to say that given today's temperatures as an example, the plans seem to be very unsustainable, you know, not following sustainable development principles.
Correct.
Yeah, and because of things like the reliance on car use and the lack of jobs actually proposed and that already exist within the village, the use of cars will have a greater impact on people's healths. So I think that's something that everyone should consider as well, the impact to not only yourselves but future generations as well.
And that is one of the reasons you can use for being in sound. That is exactly what the kind of things that we need.
Yeah. I think the other thing to say is when I kicked this process off and built, there were two golden threads: infrastructure and addressing climate change. Yeah. Okay, and both of those are being abandoned, and and let's just be clear about this: we do need development. We need, you know, people. A lot of us in this room are lucky. We've got our own homes, and we've, you know, life's been okay for us. We've been able to get on the property ladder. We do have to accept that it's really tough for the kids, the youngs out there at the moment about trying to get places. We can't say, no, we're not building anything and disenfranchise them, because that of itself don't create great communities. But it's got to be the right thing in the right place at the right time. And the lady there is absolutely right. If you're dependent on the car all the flipping time, if you've got to go in your car to go to work, to go to school, or to take your kids to school, to do your shopping, to do everything else, that is not sustainable, and that is not something that we can afford. You know, this stuff is happening around us, and building and development is one of the key drivers for how we change this stuff. So you make absolutely great points there.
Hello. I totally understand that we, when we're objecting, have to give good reasons for why we're objecting to it. Do the people that are proposing this plan not have to give reasons why Bidford is a good area for it? Or can they just say, we want it in Bidford?
If they get to the point where they send it out for the Regulation 19 and it gets through that, and if they make their 31st of December deadline to get it to the planning inspector, what will then happen is the planning inspector will take a first look at the plan, and it is not unheard of for planning inspectors to go, no, I'm not even wasting my time with a planning inquiry for that, and they do throw them back. It happens. Certainly 10 or 15% of them just historically just get thrown back.
But they don't have to justify.
No, but what will happen if they get through all of that? There'll be what's called an examination in public, a public inquiry, probably about this time next year, if they get that far. Probably lasts 4 to 6 weeks. And that's the point at which a barrister, potentially instructed by your parish council plus other groups, because there's no point having 6 or 7 barristers for 6 or 7 groups, one barrister make all the points. That's the point at which the officers who are saying that this is a really great plan, that's when they're going to be tested. It is a public inquiry. They will at some point be tested, and a barrister will be making the points that all of you have been making, and the things that your parish council and us have been saying, and other groups around the district have been saying, this plan ain't sound, and they will be challenged. They will have to give their evidence. They'll be questioned. And I can tell you, I've given evidence in the High Court. Being examined by a barrister ain't a fun thing. They will be put to the test, and ultimately, it would then be a planning inspector who decides, are they right or are we right? And I think I back us every time. Scott, have we got some more?
Well, thank you. Yeah.
Couple
Firstly,
more.
thank you all for your time and effort in supporting us and rejecting this plan. I wondered if it was possible to flick back to the map at all.
Yeah, I think we can do that. Bear with me a second. There are 2 versions of the map. So this is the most recent version.
Yeah. I don't know how many of you in the room know Famington Old Farm. Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. So there's 6 of us, 6 houses that live on that land currently. And what this map doesn't highlight is that we're in the central of this. Yep.
It's the
Here's our glamorous assistant again.
It's the grey pocket. It's the, no. It's
Up further.
A bit further up, isn't it? Yeah, I think.
it's the grey pocket just in the middle of the green at the top there. It's the
Yeah.
grey pocket there.
Yep.
So we absolutely support rejecting this plan for the wider Bidford group, but equally we believe that we have a unique challenge that we're in the centre of this along with farmers. And we've learnt this through social media, literally within the last week or two. I think that Darren and I spoke before and we've presented some questions that we've got that we're going to pick up offline. The thing that you raised tonight, Darren, that I have a question about is you says that it's kind of in or out with regards to the plan. But for us, we do support that, but equally it would make a massive difference if the plan was changed. So why is that totally locked down with regards to not changing the plan at all?
Sorry, I'm not quite sure. Sorry. When you say over there, sorry, where? Oh, there you are. So when you say totally locked down, sorry.
So with regards to what you've presented tonight,
Yeah.
I've understood from the conversation that we're either rejecting this plan or accepting it.
Yeah.
But for us, we're in a unique situation that we're in the centre of this.
Yeah.
And we support, hopefully, not having this plan completely.
Yeah.
But equally, as a group, we have to consider that a change to this plan would also be beneficial to us.
Yep.
So you said that that's not an option on the cards.
Yeah,
So I just was hoping you could explain that in a bit more
Okay,
detail
okay.
to us to understand that, please.
Right. Because of where the process has got to. Now, there's been all sorts of changes to the plan in the last few weeks, right, which have been particularly in relation to Bidford. And it's a really interesting thing that you might think that if Bidford's getting a caning, there are other district councillors in Warwick and Stratford thinking, it's not us, we're okay. But across this district and across even Warwick district, people who've got no skin in the Bidford game whatsoever are saying this is nuts. Okay. And what's going on at the moment is they're trying to find ways of making this acceptable because they think this is where the real hotspot is. With all due deference to the chat from Clifford Chambers and about Long Marston, because your parish council and your two district councillors have kicked up such a fuss about this. They think this is the centre of it. And what they're trying to do is to make this. They haven't even thought about you guys in that sense.
You can imagine
Absolutely.
how that made us feel, along with everybody.
Yeah,
I appreciate and
absolutely.
respect everybody.
So it's locked in that. Are they going to drop that half off? In other words, bring you back into open countryside. They'll not make that kind of concession. So from your perspective, my advice for what it's worth is that it is better for you that this plan dies. And then we have a more rational plan, which might involve some development in Bidford. And frankly, if there is a secondary school to be had, there might be some price you as a community are prepared to pay for that. But you want to be engaged in that conversation, and you don't want just stuff imposed on you, because it is rational to say, do you know what? If the price of a secondary school is 2,500 houses as a community for a secondary school, you say thanks, but no thanks. That's a legitimate challenge. But for you at Framlington, I think there isn't going to be anything that could make a significant difference to you. I don't think they're going to move from this now. This is their last throw of the dice as far as Bidford is concerned.
That's the hill they're going to die on.
It is the hill they're going to die on. And it's not until you get to an examination next year that you'd be able to say, well, actually, there's lots of reasons why that shouldn't happen in and of itself, as well as the broader Bidford. I hope that makes some sense. But I think you've provided us with this stuff. And I think if we can pick this up offline, we can come and talk to you as a group of 6 people and give more time than we can perhaps give for everybody tonight.
There is a number of things for us that haven't been surveyed correctly, whether that's down to the grade 2 listed buildings. We've got one in Fabington, Old Farm, there's one on the farm, to species of bats.
Yeah.
A survey, and that hasn't been completed. So we've got a whole host of research.
So I think what
and that's all documented.
Yeah. So what we'll do, we'll take this and we'll definitely arrange to come and meet you guys, because you've presented a load of stuff that you haven't seen yet. Well, none of us have seen it yet, but we will pick that up. I think Jill particularly wants to say something at the back and from the.
Sorry, I know you've been just 2 seconds. What it is, Framington Farm, okay? Framington Farm. You can see, we know where Framington Farm is. If you get your OS ordnance survey map out and look at the contour lines, they actually can't physically build unless it's terraced houses like it used to be in Salford, the old Salford in the north. They've got to be terraced because they didn't have any walking boots. They didn't come round and see the terrain. So it's exactly the same as when you go south of the river, down in that south part. They haven't actually had a look that there's hills.
Oh, that's documented.
Yeah.
Your opinion on our document. I've got your copy too here, Joe.
Okay, have we got some other questions? I'm just conscious we're starting to run towards
Just
the end.
one question. Hugh Cole, I'm a resident, 11 years of Bidford. I live on the High Street. One question. There's going to be an awful lot of gleaning information. And I noticed that we've got Bragg, District Council, Parish Council, and various other people will be firing in emails independently. Have you got one official or person who's going to be appointed as the project coordinator? Because it's very complex.
Yeah, I think you make a valid point, and I think that's something we've probably got to take away. So we might end up with, there's a dedicated page on the Parish Council website, and the Parish Council, and I know through the Neighbourhood Development Plan Group, there's a planning consultant going to be involved. So I think that's something we can take. Go on, Mark, you want to say something on that?
There was talk about a working group specifically for the South Warwickshire Plan, because the NDP group doesn't want to take on this kind of, this beast, because it's more to do with the NDP and the local people. So there was talk about a South Warwickshire Local Plan. And we might working group and we might put that together, but that's in the.
Yeah, I think you make a valid point, and I think we need to ensure that you've got a parish council, you've got your district councillors, you've got Bragg, that we coordinate between ourselves so that there is a sort of controlling mind, if you will, about how we're going to make sure we get the right strategy, but equally how we're going to get information communicated back out to you. So I think we do need to take that away, and and I'm sure through perhaps the next we'll find a way of getting that messaging back out to people.
But also, if it was a working group, it could also incorporate the Bragg group as well, because residents can actually be part of that. So
where we are at the moment is because, in a way, it's early doors. We wanted the full council, the full parish council involved. So all the 11 good men and true, and women, obviously, were fully aware of where we're at. Whether we then split off into smaller groups is another thing, but we wanted the full concentration of the council because there's this, but there is also the solar farm that is just up the road in Salford Price, which is another national project. So we wanted all of our people at the first time, and then we will, if a working group works,
if it's feasible,
it's feasible and it is beneficial, and we'll move the process forward, we'll go that way.
Okay. I'm just conscious of it's 8:20, and it's also getting. Have we got any more?
Yeah, we have got a few more questions. Final hands up, please. Any more questions? I know one more.
Got one last question, have we?
Yes. 2, 3-ish.
Okay.
I think that's okay.
Go on then, Scott.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this evening. To concur with the gentleman from Clifford Chambers, I really agree that people really need to get behind this. If we go back to the South Warwickshire Local Plan from last year, where we all had the opportunity to submit our opinions about supporting or objecting to the strategic growth location of Bidford, there were 150 responses in total. 61 supported the development of Bidford, and only 75 objected. So if you look at the objections, there were at least 18 people that objected from another potential growth location in Warwickshire. And they thought they all objected to their own, but they supported it to happen in Bidford. So did AI pick that up when the responses were being evaluated?
It will have picked it up to some degree, but it has that wasn't the determinant that changed things. It was human decision making rather than AI, and I think you're right that certainly as far as the officers were concerned, as I say, right up to the spring, the officers were in the place that said Bidford is not a place for a strategic growth location. There was human intervention after that changed it. I think that, as I say, we're trying to give you information. We're trying to make, we're trying to make this to engage you. This ain't a political broadcast, but we can't blame the machine for this one. We blame the humans, that's probably I'll get myself into trouble if I'm there. Yeah, shut up, Darren.
Yeah, stop that.
Any more questions, ladies and gentlemen?
One more over there.
One more, and I think we'll probably then call it because we're all starting to melt. I think you all need a huge pat on the back for your stoicism tonight. It's a warm one.
Yeah.
No.
Thank you very much for today. It's been very, very informative. So, yeah, really appreciate how well you've laid this all out. End on a more positive note then, as I'm an optimist. So if we all come together and we're successful and we block this come December this year, what happens next? There's going to be a new plan. There's going to be a shorter timescale, a new framework. How do we actually then go about getting something that's right for the community? Because they're not just going to not do anything further.
Okay, so that will be down to the NDP. So we put that in place and we update it. If we update it now and the South Warwickshire plan changes and we're not in line with it, our NDP falls down. So it's because it needs to align. So the next stage is for us to get our NDP in place, and then whether they have to sort of align with us is a different matter. They probably won't, but at least we've got a new document and a new legal document that can change the shape of Bidford a little bit. And then when that new plan comes out, we'll then deal with that when it comes out.
I think the other thing I would also say is it gives the opportunity. So there are sites that have been discounted, and as a lot of people feel that those sites, bearing in mind we were looking at a 25-year plan, and there was a reason for that, because if you want to build a new settlement and you want to get National Grid to put the electricity in and Centrica to put the gas in, you have to look long term. But there are sites that have some broad support and are sensible that have not been brought into play, that could be brought into play to achieve that vision of good quality settlements where you get the infrastructure and allowing for the existing settlements to grow organically so that they we don't want, for example, Bidford to wither and die. You need an organic level. So it enables you to have that reset. And I'm an optimist. And I think the answer would be your elected representatives and you as residents would get another go around at a consultation, and that would be then the opportunity. And I think, having had their fingers burnt, regardless of whether the administration changes or not, if this thing falls, they won't ignore people again. That's my optimistic slant on it.
The amount of money that's been spent on this. The amount of money that's been spent on this.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
They need to listen to us now.
Yeah.
And that's the call to arms is basically, in my opinion, should be more about what are we going to do next after we solve this.
Yeah, I think there is a one step at a time. I think this isn't the last time we'll get together to talk about this. This is about a call to arms for stage one. If we then get down to a new plan, it's about call to arms to engage people.
And in between that, we've got this survey for the NDP.
Yeah.
So we'll be engaging the whole time to try and get a plan with everyone here and the whole the village.
So,
any more questions at all?
No, I would just like to thank these people for doing the amount of